Hello everyone, I'm Haiyan Jiang. Very glad to be here to introduce our work. HiPad, text entry for head-mounted displays using circular touchpad. Dongdong Wen is my supervisor. We come from Beijing Institute of Technology. Text entry in virtual reality for HMDs remains an open problem. QWERTY physical keyboard is often used for VR. The challenge of it is the physical keyboard and the user's hands cannot be saw in HMDs, and it can't use in mobile things. Aim and shoot technique, the currently popular text entry method in HMDs, but it's not efficient enough, in particular for the entry of long text. Besides, it's prone to cause fatigue quickly due to the movement in large space for selecting the characters. Speech is another solution. It's likely to suffer from problems in noisy environments. Speech recognition has privacy and possible obtrusiveness in public environments, and the correction of its errors is also a challenge. Mid-air typing usually relies on actual devices such as gloves, cameras, or gloves, and is prone to cause fatigue for the long-time use. Head-based technique types by the head movements, increasing the possibility of motion sickness. And some controller-based techniques are not efficient enough. The circular layout is used for smartwatch, like the work of various text and large screen and so on, and is also used for the text entry in VR, like the work of PizzaText, RenText. The multi-letter case layout design is usually adopted to address the problem of the limited space, such as mobile phone and smartwatches, which enables to reduce the number of buttons required to support a full alphabetic keyboard. The most common layout is T9 on smartphones or smartwatches. The one-line keyboard condenses the 3 rows of character keys in the QWERTY layout into a single line with 8 keys for probable touch screens. Finger T9 uses T9 layout and thumb-to-finger interaction for text entry. However, there is no efficient common method for HMDs. More research about ease of use, ease of learning, and efficient text entry techniques for VEs and HMDs are needed. Handheld controller devices for HMDs have become an important modality for interaction and for text entry in VR, but the text entry techniques with the controllers for VR remain underexplored. Thus, we hope to explore a text entry technique with a handheld controller, providing a convenient, comfortable, and efficient text entry method. We explored the technique by taking advantage of the touchpad of the controller. In this work, we use the HTC Vive controller, which is a common controller with a touchpad. The circular layout can provide some potential extra benefits in interacting with circular interfaces, but the area of it is limited, so we achieve the text entry by reducing the number of keys and condensing multiple letters into one key. In the figure, the virtual keyboard is in the virtual space we can see, and the touch area of keys is the real touch areas in the touchpad. How can we input by it? Like in the video, we input a sequence and choose the word we want from the predicted word list. For multi-letter case input, it's necessary to adopt word disambiguation techniques for the word level input. We implement our algorithm for word disambiguation based on the American National Corpus, ANC. Then a hash table of all remaining words is built using the key sequence as a key and the word as a value. The candidate list ranks the candidates according to the frequencies used. Figure shows the coverage of the alphabetic-only words in ANC in the top 10,000 words. In the top 10,000 words, about 99%, 98%, and 94% of those can be typed without the need for disambiguation in the top 5 most likely words for any sequences in 8 keys, 6 keys, and 4 keys respectively. Since the area of the touchpad of the controller is limited, dividing the area into more keys might lead to high error rates and increasing the positioning time, which also might decrease the entry speed. However, more keys means fewer later each key content, and the number of words corresponding to the input sequence would decrease, and it might be easier for user to remember, which might benefit the entry speed. Thus, we conducted the study to evaluate the effect of different numbers of keys in the fixed touchpad. We adopted within subjects design with one factor, 3 different layouts, like in the figure. The first line includes the virtual keyboard, and the second line includes touches area of each layout. 10 participants took part in the study with everyone input 15 phrases from McKenzie phrase set for each layout. The experiment is conducted in the HTC Vive Pro. We measured the entry speed by word per minute (WPM) and calculated the total error rate, including the not correct error rate and the corrected error rate. And we adopted a 7-point ordinal scale to design the TLX questionnaire and preference. The results show there is no significant difference among the 3, but the pale t-text results show there are significant difference between 4 keys layout and 6 keys layout, and between 6 keys layout and 8 keys layout. For TER and NCER, there is no significant effect among the 3 layouts. Figure shows the preference of each keyboard. The mean score for 6 keys layout is the highest. The independent t-text results show there is no effect of familiarity of T9 keyboard on their performance. At last, we analyzed the touch behavior. This is the scatter plot with 95% confidence ellipses of touch points of each design. The table shows the proportion of the times of keys pressed by mistake. Meanwhile, the key with few pressed by mistake is more difficult for users to press, and it's easier for them to press the adjacent keys. Thus, the press accuracy of these keys is lower. Figure A shows the touch points of the central key or layouts, which includes about 10,000 points, according to the scatter plots and the proportion of the times of key pressed by mistake. We found the press accuracy of the keys that are parallel to the direction of the thumb movement is low and have more errors of pressing by mistake. The press accuracy of keys that are vertical to the direction of thumb movement is higher. According to the results of the first study, we optimized the design of HiPad with 6 keys layout. We optimized the layout from the 3 aspects. First, the area of the center key, from the shape and the position. Second, enlarge the angles of the key 3 and key 6. And third, the layout, we added the interspace among keys in the virtual keyboard and added a circle to help users confirm the position of center key. We adopted the within subjects design with one factor. For different touch areas like in the figure, 10 participants took part in the study with inputting 10 phrases in each season at random. The results shows the participants with optimized layouts performed a little better than in NC and CC seasons. When this technique is used in some virtual environments, the virtual keyboard may cause occlusion. If the virtual keyboard can be placed on the touchpad of virtual controller, if so, it means the occlusion problem can be solved. And we also want to know learnability, how the two different layouts users' performance would change over time. So we conducted the third study to evaluate the effect of layout position and how the two different layout users' performance would change over time. In the video, we can see two different input methods. This is the first method. We adopt between subjects design and 15 participants completed the experiment with 6 blocks, and each block includes 10 presses. Now this is the second the figures show the average text entry speed across the two types of HiPiD and the average total error rate and not correct error rate across the two types of HiPiD. The speed of VE layout reached about 11 WPM, while the TP layout reached about 9.5 WPM. The VE layout needs a lower workload. In the last block, the average speed of VE layout group improves to 13.57 WPM from the 7.7 at WPM in the first block through a short training with 60 phrases. The speed of the TP layout improves 11.6 WPM from 6.39 WPM in the first block. For NCER and TER, the results show that for both the VE layout and the TP layout groups, there was no significant difference across 6 blocks. For the limitation and future work, first, the entry performance of auto vocabulary may be limited due to the multi-later case and needs more study. Besides, adding physical points in the center of keys in the touchpad would benefit the user's conform of touch when they thumb on the keys, which might be beneficial to the entry speed. And this research only considers the entry of letters, so the entry of special symbols needs more explored. Because the text entry of HiPiD is based on what level the layout of the letter will affect the word collision, the distribution of letters of HiPiD can be optimized by combining the word clarity with speed predicted by the fit digraph model in the future. To conclusion, first we introduced a circular touchpad based on text entry technique that enables one-handed typing in HMDs. And we conducted first user study to determine the number of keys of this technique, and the results demonstrate that the 6 keys layout has better performance. And we analyze the data of touch points and optimize the touch areas of keys. And we addressed the occlusion problem. The results show Novasys can reach 13.57 WPM with VE layout and 11.6 WPM with TP layout. And the speed increased by 74% for VE layout group and by about 81% for TP layout group through a short training with 60 phrases. Okay, this is all of our work. Thanks for your listen.